Okay, we'll start with this. It would appear that Matchroom's recent signee, Turhan, is headed to France for her next fight in late July opposite the ring unbeaten Rima Ayadi for what is a secondary version of a WBA title. Alicia Baumgartner has the full one.
Elif moved down?
Would appear she did from her big win over Shauna Brown earlier this year. In March, I could have swore that Elif was ranked via the WBC as a lightweight, very close to challenging Caroline Dubois for the green and gold title, whereas now she's challenging for a secondary belt at a lower weight, at super featherweight, which would in effect line her up for an Alicia Baumgartner fight or a vacant title should Alicia leave the division after her next fight.
Sporting a professional record of 10 wins with no losses, no draws, 6 knockouts. The more heavy-handed fighter of the two between her and Rima. Rima sports an unblemished record of 11 wins, no losses, no draws, 1 knockout.
What Rima lacks in punching power, she makes up for in experience. So they may have a similar number of fights, but their quality of competition is far apart.
Rima's fought better fighters by and large than Elif has so far. She's got a win over the durable and tough Emma Gongora, Licia Budersa, a win over a former champion in Victoria Bustos.
Even if you're not familiar with those names, all you need to know is that Rima Ayadi has been fighting better and more experienced fighters than Elif Turhan has.
And it will be Rima that has home field advantage. Because this fight is supposed to be happening in France, that gives me the impression that this is not a Matchroom show.
Elif Turhan will be the away fighter, and you know what they say, you don't coast on foreign soil. She needs to take this fight out of the judges' hands like she did the Shauna Brown fight.
This will be the second unbeaten fighter that Elif Turhan is taking on in succession. It was Shauna Brown in March, now it's Rima Ayadi in July.
I remember when Martin Bacoli went to France for the Tony Yoka fight and completely dominated him. The judges still tried to screw him over. He got the decision, but not as wide as it should have been.
I remember.
And now that Elif is heading over there, I have that in mind. She better dominate Rima Ayadi, or better than that, she better knock her out. She stopped Shauna Brown earlier this year. She made a lasting impression on a lot of people. Gave people the impression she was going to be a force to be reckoned with in the lightweight division, but it would appear she's moving down.
Was the knockout heard round the world? Her power seems real enough, but even among hard punchers, power counts for nothing if you can't land. And Rima is going to make it difficult for Elif to deliver that power. She's more the boxer of the two.
Elif would be the puncher. I think she has enough stopping power to take this out of the judges' hands, but she has to be able to deliver it. She has to connect.
Is Matchroom throwing her to the wolves?
No more than they threw Rhiannon Dixon to the wolves when she had to go to Spain for the Majuba Uptil fight. It's a sink or swim fight, that's what it is, but that's necessary. You can't coddle these fighters and allow them to develop a false sense of security by tailoring every situation to their advantage. They have to know who they're investing in.
And you have to prove you're worth it.
Elif does. And if she can, she may emerge as one of the next wave of champions in the super featherweight division, because I don't think Alicia is going to stay there very long. There's no reason to. There's no big fights. After this upcoming Jennifer Miranda fight, she may decide to move up to lightweight or super lightweight. You never know.
She does All the titles she held are going to go vacant. They're going to get redistributed to other fighters. Maybe one goes to Elif. Maybe one goes to Rima. I'm not going to make any bold proclamations in this battle of the unbeatens.
Neither fighter is so bankable yet that you can trust one over the other. They have to prove themselves, and that's what this is.
So, we are talking, we're in negotiations for Turhan to fight Teofimo. And it's a hell of a fight. And Turhan, you know, you heard His Excellency, he said it there, you know, and this is just the last 48 hours. So Turhan's been chilling out, you know, there is a date in August that we could be looking at in Saudi Arabia. But we weren't really expecting to fight in August, if I'm honest. You know, we was expecting to fight in September, October. We have a mandatory challenger in Chakram Girsov who stepped aside for the Stanionis fight. But I believe there's a conversation to be had there. And I've got a call with Turhan and Everett and the team and Bozy in about an hour to see if that's something we want to do. I will say there is still the conversation about 47-54. You know, it is inevitable, the move.
Going to take everything I've been seeing the last 24 to 48 hours at face value. This is a fight that Teofimo says he wants. This is a fight that Eddie Hearn says in talks. It's a fight that Turkey wants to make. And if all the involved parties really want to make it, I see no reason that it shouldn't happen. As far as Gayasov and his mandated title defense, I'm sure that Turkey can get him to stand down and step aside and get the WBA's blessing so that Boots doesn't have to vacate his title.
The one that he just won.
Pay Shakram Gayasov to step aside and get him a slot on the undercard. I see no reason that this fight shouldn't happen, where normally I'm very cynical with this kind of news, and a part of me still is. I'm going to choose to take all of this at face value because most of the obstacles,
They can be worked around.
so the WBA gave a deadline for the Gayasov fight to come into fruition. They did the same thing to Naoya Inoue with MJ Akhmadaliev, then doubled back when they realized they weren't next in the rotation. So if that situation was able to be worked around, then so can this one.
You think Teofimo Lopez really wants this fight?
No, not really, but I'm taking it at face value. He's been talking about it for weeks, for months now. He says he wants Boots, he says he wants to move up, so give him what he wants.
Yeah, when we did the weigh-in here, Teofimo stood on the scales. About 6 hours, 8 hours into hydrating, he was about 146 pounds. Barboza was about 157. Right? I don't think he's a big 140.
I've been saying that for a while now, that Teofimo may have been a big 135, but he ain't that big and he don't hit that hard at 140, and it's going to be worse at 147 because the opponents are going to get bigger, they're going to get stronger, but Teofimo won't.
Eddie Hearn says that the night of the fight, Arnold Barboza outweighed Teofimo Lopez by a lot. To Teofimo's credit, he still dominated him. He still beat him. But there's fighting Arnold Barboza at 140, and then there's fighting Boots Ennis at 147. Even if I myself don't have the best track record with forecasting Teofimo Lopez's fights, can we all agree that Boots is a more dangerous fight than Arnold Barboza?
And overall, it's a different fight than an Arnold Barboza fight. At his very best, Arnold is a boxer and a mover. You're not under much threat of being knocked out or even being hurt by Arnold Barboza, whereas with Boots, I mean, is it safe to say that the Boots Ennis fight is a more dangerous fight than an Arnold Barboza fight? I think so. And any mention of weight stipulations, catch weights, rehydration clauses, I will interpret as a means to sabotage the fight before it even happens. At Teofimo, you want to go to 147? You want to stomp with the big dogs?
You want to challenge Boots Ennis for the 2 alphabet titles he's got? Go ahead. But don't try to handicap him. Don't try to weaken him. I don't like it when Javante does that shit, and I'm not going to like it if you do the same thing.
You fight Boots Ennis at the limit. No catch weight, no rehydration cap, none of that shit.
The danger.
Why is a Boots Ennis fight more dangerous than an Arnold Barboza fight was? Well, Even though Arnold Barboza was noticeably taller and somewhat longer than Teofimo Lopez, he's not a power guy. He's not an artillery fighter. Like I said, you're never under much threat of being knocked out or even knocked down by Arnold Barboza in spite of his height and length. And in the fight with Teofimo, he sort of gave that up. Got away from his boxing, started stepping into his punches, which played into Teofimo's hands.
Why?
Teofimo is a counterpuncher. He's at his best when he can hang back and set a trap. You have to make him chase you.
For him to struggle, you have to hang back, you have to move lateral, you have to set traps.
If you step into your shots and you come to him, you're making his job that much easier.
But isn't that what Boots is gonna do?
Yes. The difference is, Boots is bigger than Arnold Barboza by a lot, and he hits harder than Arnold Barboza by a lot. So when he steps into a shot,
The
danger with Boots is that he's got so much more height and length on Teofimo that if he shoots the jab, he can shoot it from a safe enough distance that Teofimo can't counter it. Teofimo's either gonna move or cover up. So by the time that Boots steps into that jab and brings another punch over, he's all over Teofimo. He's on top of him.
The danger.
What is sometimes referred to as ring coverage. That Boots has got a lot of it against Teofimo. If he gets full extension on his arm, shoots the jab, he can do it from a safe enough distance that Teo can't counter it. All Teo can do is either move or block.
Or slip.
But the same applies. You don't want to be there once Boots steps in and brings another punch over. And that's the danger for Teofimo, that he's noticeably smaller than Boots. So the ring is going to be a very small place for him with not too many places to hide.
Boots' defense is not the best. We've seen him get hit with clean shots, but those were clean shots from actual welterweights, not lightweights who moved up to 140 and then 147. I don't think Teo has the power to hurt Jaron Ennis. So even if he gets in with a punch, I don't expect it to have any effect.
Boots can take Teofimo's best shot, but can Teofimo take his?
Are you underestimating Teofimo again?
I'm just asking questions and characterizing the danger, the perils of Teofimo Lopez fighting Jaron Ennis. This ain't Arnold Barboza.
He's got a lot more power and a lot more ring coverage. He's taller, he's longer, and longer legs make for longer strides.
That falls under ring coverage too. How much ground can you cover in a step? Boots being the taller, longer fighter, it won't take much effort to stay on top of Teofimo because he's got longer legs that make for longer strides. More wingspan,
more reach to touch him with straight punches from a safe distance from the outside coming in to elicit respect.
It's a dangerous fight. I don't think there's any harm in me saying that this would be, by and large, the most dangerous fight of Teofimo Lopez's career. And I am to believe that he's going to go through with this.
Have at him, cowboy.
But that's not all, folks. Apparently, Devin Haney has thrown his name into the hat for a Teofimo Lopez fight via his social media saying, "I'm tired of Tejo and his racist remarks. Turkey LL Sheik, let's make it happen. Teofimo Lopez at 147.
The Ryan Garcia fight is dead. Turkey has to know that. Now, nobody's excited to see it. Nobody really cares. Ryan Garcia has to make up for that demoralizing loss to Rolly Romero.
And until he does, the Devin Haney rematch is on ice. It's cold product.
Devin, you know, he's there to be criticised right now, so sometimes people are going to be a little bit harder than they should be. He did pretty much win every round, and he did hurt Ramirez a couple of times when he held his feet, but he just moved too quickly earlier. But he's also coming off a really rough night where a lot of things happened to him, and he's been out of the ring for a year. Devin's a brilliant talent, and he's going to be I worry more for Ryan over Devin. Going into the fight, I was worried more for Devin. But even though Devin didn't look sensational, he'll get momentum now to win, and I think he'll be better next time. Ryan's in a bit of a mess, really. He's got to come back, get a win.
That adequately surmises Ryan Garcia's current predicament. It's a mess, and it's a mess that only he can clean up, so up until he does, that Devin Haney fight is not a conversation. Nobody really wants to see it. In the interim, Devin wants to fight Teofimo. I've my own reservations as to whether or not Turkey should actually use him on another one of his shows based on how he performed with Jose. Who wants to see that again?
But it is true. He was coming off a bad beating and a year of inactivity, so maybe the next time out, he will look better.
He wants to fight Teofimo. He wants to do it for the culture, based on all the racist innuendo we've been seeing from Teofimo as of late. I think many of the Black Fight fans would be happy to see him finally get his comeuppance for trying to ruffle their feathers.
Now, I think that Boots is more capable of delivering what they want, the way they want it, than Devin Haney, because Devin's not a knockout merchant. At the most, he could win a points decision against Teofimo, whereas Boots could put him in the hospital.
So did it work? Teofimo's effort to be this era's villain, this era's bad guy, the heel, to the extent that he would find the same success as a Floyd Mayweather? Not exactly, because he's not as talented as Floyd Mayweather.
So he won't exhibit the longevity of a Floyd Mayweather, the earning power in fight after fight after fight.
Now what you're doing may be enough to get you a Devin Haney fight, or a Boots fight. But if you lose, the buck stops there, and that's hardly replicating the Mayweather formula.
For Teofimo, the Devin Haney fight compared to the Boots fight is more winnable.
I don't know that Turkey wants to make it, but Devin is volunteering, and that fight compared to the Boots fight is more winnable. But I remember after his fight with Arnold Barboza, Teo and his dad said they're not interested in fighting Devin because all he's going to do is run.
So they're going to fight Boots.
We'll see. There is a vacancy in Teofimo Lopez's eyes. He's an unstable character, lacking identity, lacking originality, borrowing from whoever is around him, whatever he thinks is trending.
Whatever he thinks looks good or sounds good.
This composite persona made up of different bits of pop culture characterizes the emptiness that he feels within himself at the risk of sounding like Sigmund Freud.
Get to the point, Albert Einstein.
Even with this win over Arnold Barboza, Teofimo hasn't settled his soul. He wants to be accepted, but at the same time, his behavior is why he isn't. Now, you spent all that time trying to rile up the Black Fight fans. Now you've started riling up the Mexican ones too, by taking shots at Canelo Alvarez. You were hoping they were going to butter your bread, that if you get in good with Canelo, maybe you can siphon fans off of him.
But now you've turned on him. Now you're taking shots at him, you're taking shots at Eddie.
You're calling him flat-footed? You're saying that Terrence Crawford is going to beat him? You're entitled to your opinion, but so is everybody else. And in a lot of people's opinion, you're a phony. You're a fake. You're disingenuous.
A two-face.
Looking for love in all the wrong places, whether it's with stewardesses or with the boxing community at large. Teofimo can't catch a break. Many people feel he doesn't deserve one because he's a bigot.
I still think Devin Haney beats him, and I think that Ennis puts him in the hospital. I haven't had the best luck forecasting Teofimo's fights,
But even a broken clock is right twice a day, and those are two fights that I think I would be right about. Devin will beat him in ho-hum fashion. He won't stop him. Boots would.
those are his options.
Or you can go back to Top Rank with your tail between your legs and wait for them to sick Brian Norman on you.
For peanuts on the dollar.
I still feel like the walls are closing in for Teofimo Lopez because there are very few safe options at this point in the juncture.